The Korthan commander's name was Theknor, and he had fought in 30 battles across 20 systems. He had never known fear. Now surrounded by thousands of human warships that should not exist, he felt something cold crawl up his spine. All ships, evasive maneuvers, he screamed. Return fire. Kill them all. His fleet tried. They fired their plasma cannons, their missile batteries, their energy beams. The weapons hit the human shields and simply stopped. The shield shimmered for a moment, then went solid again. Not a single human ship took damage. Then the humans fired back. The weapons did not look impressive. Small torpedoes moving slower than conventional missiles. Theknor almost laughed. Then the first torpedo reached a Korthan cruiser and simply disappeared. It phased through the shields like they were not there. It phased through the armor. It appeared inside the ship's reactor core. The cruiser exploded from the inside out. Across the Korthan fleet, the same thing happened. Ships died without their shields ever being touched. The torpedoes phased through every defense, detonating in the most vulnerable locations. Engineering, command centers, weapons storage. The humans knew exactly where to hit. Retreat, Theknor ordered. All ships jump out now. But human fighters had already moved into position. Small, fast craft piloted by humans whose brains were connected directly to their ships. They moved with impossible precision, targeting the jump drives on every Korthan vessel. Without their jump drives, the Korthan fleet was trapped. The battle lasted 73 minutes. 200 Korthan warships entered the Sol system. 0 escaped. Not a single human ship was destroyed. Some took minor damage, but nothing serious. It was not a battle. It was an execution. Admiral Taman watched the last enemy ship explode and felt nothing. No joy, no satisfaction, just a cold emptiness. He had wanted peace. He had spent his entire career trying to find diplomatic solutions. Now he was a killer. A very efficient killer, sir, his communications officer said quietly. The galaxy is watching. The Korthan broadcasted the battle. Everyone saw what we did. Good, Taman said. Let them see. Let them understand. We are not the species they thought we were. He ordered the wreckage left intact. Let the scavengers come. Let them study the destroyed ships. Let them try to understand how humans had achieved such a complete victory. Fear was a weapon too, and fear needed evidence. On Europa, Dr. Mirai Choi received reports of the battle. Her quantum disruption torpedoes had worked perfectly, too perfectly. She had designed them to penetrate defenses, but seeing them used in actual combat made her sick. Each explosion represented lives ended, beings killed by weapons she had created. Her assistant noticed her expression. Doctor, we saved Earth. Those ships came to kill us, to enslave us. I know, Mirai said softly, but that does not make me feel better about becoming a weapons maker. She turned to her next project, Project Chimera. For years, humanity had collected alien DNA from dozens of species. Now they were using it to enhance human soldiers, giving them the strength of the heavy gravity species, the speed of the low gravity species, the enhanced senses of the predator species, creating super soldiers who could fight on any world against any enemy. The first batch of volunteers had already received their treatments. Lieutenant Jiwan Lee was among them. Mirai had met her before the procedure, a young woman with fire in her eyes and absolute confidence in her abilities. Now Jiwan could crush steel with her bare hands and move faster than most aliens could track. But the enhancements came with a cost. The human body was not designed to handle alien DNA. Most of the enhanced soldiers would be dead within 10 years. They knew this. They volunteered anyway. Captain Hunwoo Park watched the battle from his hidden position, his stealth ship invisible among the outer asteroids. He recorded everything. The tactics, the weapons, the complete domination. Then he received new orders from Admiral Taman. Captain Park, the message read, Intelligence indicates the Vren Collective is preparing biological weapons for use against our colonies. Location attached. Destroy the facility. Use any means necessary. Hyunwoo studied the coordinates. The facility was on a small moon orbiting a gas giant deep in Vren space. Heavily defended. Impossible to reach with a normal fleet. But his ship was not normal, and he was not planning a normal attack. He jumped to the target system and approached in complete stealth. The Vren sensors swept right past him. Their ships patrolled nearby, never seeing the human vessel that slipped between them like a ghost. Hyunwoo brought his ship to the moon's surface and sent a tight beam message back to Earth. Target confirmed. Requesting ground support. Lieutenant Jiwan Lee received the call while training with her enhanced Marines. 20 soldiers, all volunteers, all knowing they had sacrificed years of their lives for the strength to fight. They were the first Chimera unit ever deployed in combat. Now they would prove whether Dr. Choi's work had been worth it. Marines, Jiwan called out. We have a mission. Friend bioweapon facility. Our job is to go in, destroy everything, and make sure these creatures never threaten human colonies again. Questions? One of her soldiers raised a hand. Rules of engagement, ma'am? Jiwan's expression went hard. There are no civilians in a bioweapon facility. Everyone there chose to work on weapons designed to kill billions. Show them the same mercy they planned to show our families. They jumped to Hyunwoo's location in a stealth transport. The Vren never saw them coming. The Marines dropped to the moon's surface in powered armor, moving fast despite the low gravity. They hit the facility's outer defenses like a hammer. The Vren guards were reptilian creatures, big and strong and armed with plasma weapons. Under normal circumstances, they would have been dangerous opponents. But these were not normal circumstances, and these were not normal humans. Jiwan moved through the corridors at a speed that left the Vren stunned. Her enhanced reflexes let her dodge their fire. Her enhanced strength let her tear through their armor with her bare hands. Behind her, her Marines followed, a wave of destruction that the Vren could not stop. They fought through 3 levels of defenses. The Vren tried everything: energy weapons, explosive traps, even releasing some of their bioweapons in the corridors, hoping to kill the humans with their own creations. But the Chimera enhancements included immune system upgrades. The weapons that would have killed normal humans barely slowed the enhanced Marines. Jiwan reached the main laboratory and planted charges on every containment vessel. The Vren scientists tried to run. She let them. They would tell others what happened here. They would spread the word that humanity did not forgive threats to their people. Charges set, she reported to Hyunwoo. Extraction in 2 minutes. Her Marines fought their way back to the surface. Behind them, the facility exploded. The bioweapons burned in the flames. Whatever diseases the Vren had been developing died with their creators. As they jumped back to human space, Jiwan counted her casualties. 2 wounded, 0 dead. She looked at her Marines and felt pride mixed with sadness. These soldiers had given up normal lives to become weapons. They deserved better than dying young from genetic instability. But they had volunteered knowing the cost. Good work, everyone, she said quietly. You just saved billions of human lives. Remember that when the pain gets bad. Remember that your sacrifice matters. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Species that had been confident of victory now looked at each other with fear. The humans had destroyed a Korthan vanguard fleet without losing a single ship. They had struck deep into Vren space and destroyed a top-secret facility. They had technology that should not exist. How? One representative demanded. How did they hide all this? We monitored their systems. We restricted their technology. How did they build this fleet? Scholar Thera of the Queln species spoke quietly. She had voted against the war. Now she explained what others had missed. We did not monitor them closely enough. Every crashed ship we tried to hide from them, they found. Every black market dealer we thought was working for us was actually working for them. For decades they collected our technology, studied it, improved it. We gave them the tools to beat us. The chamber fell silent. The implications were terrifying. Humanity had been planning this for decades. They had pretended to be weak while becoming strong. They had smiled and obeyed while building weapons in secret. And now that the mask was off, the galaxy faced an enemy it did not understand and could not defeat. Sovereign Vreth of the Korthan Dominion watched the report and felt rage unlike anything he had experienced before. 200 ships, gone. His best commanders, dead. The humans had embarrassed him in front of the entire galaxy. Prepare the Grand Armada, he ordered. Every ship. Every weapon. We will gather a fleet so large that the humans cannot possibly win. 10,000 warships. We will crush Earth itself and scatter its remains across space. But Captain Hyunwoo Park was listening. His stealth ship floated in the shadows near the Korthan homeworld, intercepting every communication. He heard the order for the Grand Armada. More importantly, he discovered something else, something worse. The Korthan were not just building ships, they were building a superweapon. Something called the Starbreaker, a device designed to ignite Sol itself. turning Earth's sun into a supernova. The galaxy had never seen panic like this. For thousands of years, species had fought each other over territory, resources, and ideology. Now they faced something that made all those conflicts meaningless. The Helion Empire was going to kill everyone. Ambassador Deho stood before the emergency session of the Galactic Council. The same chamber where they had declared war on humanity. The same beings who had voted to destroy Earth. Now they looked at him with desperate hope. "Help us," one representative begged. "Your technology, your tactics. You are the only ones who can stop them." Deho could have said no, could have let them face the Helions alone. They deserved it after what they had tried to do to humanity. But that was not who humans were. "Not really. Earth will help," he said. "But things change from today. No more hierarchies, no more species ranked above others. We fight together as equals or we die separately as fools." The vote was unanimous. The coalition that had formed to destroy humanity now reformed with humanity at its center. Even the Korthan agreed, though Sovereign Vreth looked like he was swallowing poison. Admiral Taman took command of the combined fleet. It was the largest military force ever assembled. Over 50,000 warships from 100 different species. Human ships, Korthan cruisers, Vren carriers, clan destroyers, all flying under one banner for the first time in galactic history. But numbers meant nothing against the Helions. They were energy beings who existed partially in higher dimensions. Their weapons manipulated reality itself. Conventional tactics would fail. Conventional weapons would fail. They needed something new. Dr. Mireille worked day and night on the problem. She studied every bit of data humanity had collected on the Helions. There had to be a weakness. Everything had a weakness. She found it in quantum physics. The Helions existed in multiple dimensions at once, but their connection between dimensions could be disrupted. If she could create a quantum entanglement field at the right frequency, it would trap them in three-dimensional space. Make them vulnerable. The device was possible, but it came with a cost. Someone would have to manually activate it at the center of the Helion Transcendence Array. The radiation levels there would kill any biological being in minutes, and the array was at the heart of the Helion capital, defended by their entire military. "I will go," Captain Hyunwoo said when he heard the plan. Admiral Taman looked at his best reconnaissance officer, the man who had completed dozens of impossible missions. "Hyunwoo, this is not like the others. This is a one-way trip." "I know," Hyunwoo said calmly, "but my stealth ship is the only thing that can get through their defenses, and I am the only pilot skilled enough to navigate their capital system. This is what I trained for my entire life. Let me do this." Taman wanted to refuse, to find another way. But there was no other way, and they both knew it. He nodded slowly. "Make it count, Captain. Make sure your sacrifice means something." The combined fleet jumped to the Helion home system Lumina Core. It was beautiful and terrible. Stars that burned with impossible colors. Planets made of crystallized energy. Space itself seemed to shimmer with power. The Helion fleet met them at the system's edge. Ships that looked like they were made from solidified light. Weapons that tore holes in space itself. The battle began instantly. Taman watched the tactical display as thousands of ships clashed. The Helions were more powerful individually, but the combined fleet had numbers and determination. Human tactics mixed with alien weapons. Korthan shields protecting clan fighters. Vren carriers launching human-designed missiles. They fought as one. "Lieutenant Lee," Taman called over the communications, "take your Marines to the surface. Create an opening for Captain Park." Jiwon led her enhanced soldiers toward the Helion capital world. It was not a normal planet. It was a construct, a massive structure built from energy and matter combined. Landing there meant fighting in an environment where the laws of physics changed randomly. Her Marines dropped in armored pods, punching through the Helion defenses. The moment they landed, reality went strange. Gravity shifted directions. Time moved at different speeds in different locations. Solid ground became liquid energy. But the Chimera enhancements helped. Enhanced reflexes let them adapt to changing physics. Enhanced strength let them fight even when gravity tried to crush them. They pushed forward, meter by meter, toward the Transcendence Array. The Helions fought back with pure energy constructs, beings made of light and force that could pass through solid matter. Jiwon watched one of her Marines get struck by an energy bolt and simply dissolve. "No blood, no body. Just gone. Keep moving," she screamed. "They are dying to give us this chance." "Do not waste it." Above them, Hyunwoo navigated his stealth ship through the chaos. He had turned off most of his defensive systems to maintain stealth. One hit would kill him. But staying hidden was more important than staying protected. He slipped past Helion defense platforms. Between their energy barriers, through fields that would have torn a normal ship apart. His hands moved across the controls with practiced precision. This was what he was made for. This moment, this mission. He thought about his family back on Earth, his wife, his daughter. He had recorded messages for them before leaving, told them he loved them, told them to be proud of what he was about to do. He hoped it would be enough. The Transcendence Array appeared ahead, a structure kilometers wide, glowing with power that hurt to look at. Hyunwoo landed his ship at the outer edge and grabbed the quantum disruptor. It was small, no bigger than a briefcase, such a tiny thing to carry the fate of the galaxy. He started toward the center. The radiation hit him immediately. His suit's alarm screamed warnings. Lethal exposure. Cellular breakdown beginning. He ignored the alarms and kept walking. Helion defenders appeared, trying to stop him. Energy blasts hit his shields. He fired back with his sidearm, knowing it was useless but needing to try. One of the Helions materialized directly in front of him. It was Archon Telos, the Helion leader. A being of pure energy that spoke directly into Hyunwoo's mind. Why do you resist? We offer you transcendence. Humanity could join us in the higher dimensions. Leave this limited existence behind. Abandon your weak flesh, Hyunwoo laughed. Blood was already leaking from his nose and ears. The radiation was killing him. But he was still moving, still walking toward the center. You do not understand humans at all, he said. Our flesh is not weak. It is what makes us strong. We feel pain, so we understand suffering. We can die, so we understand the value of life. You offer us immortality. We choose meaning instead. He reached the center of the array and placed the disruptor. His fingers fumbled with the activation sequence. His vision was blurring. His body was failing. But he had one job. One final mission. Some of us stay behind, he said, his voice broadcast to the entire combined fleet, so others can move forward. That is what it means to be human. He pressed the activation button. The quantum disruptor activated, sending waves of energy through the Transcendence Array. The field spread outward, trapping the Helions in three-dimensional space. Suddenly, they were vulnerable. Suddenly, they could be hurt. Across the battlefield, the Allied fleet saw the Helion ships falter, saw their shields weaken. Admiral Taman did not waste the moment. All ships focus fire. Hit them now while they are vulnerable. Thousands of weapons fired at once. The Helions, who had seemed invincible moments before, began to fall. Their ships exploded. Their defenders dissolved. Their capital world started to collapse as the Transcendence Array broke down. Lieutenant Ji-won watched the array collapse and knew what it meant. Captain Park had succeeded. He had also died. She called for immediate evacuation. Her Marines fought their way back to the extraction point, carrying their wounded and dead. The combined fleet withdrew as the Helion capital began to tear itself apart. The battle was won. The threat was ended. But the cost had been terrible. Admiral Taman stood on his bridge and looked at the casualty reports. Thousands dead, tens of thousands wounded. Captain Hyunwoo Park listed among the fallen. A good man. A hero. Gone. He was about to call for a moment of silence when his sensor officer spoke urgently. Sir, I am detecting massive energy signatures. At the galactic rim. Multiple contacts. Very large. Taman pulled up the display. His blood went cold. The signatures were enormous. Thousands of them. Moving toward the galaxy from outside. What are they? Someone asked. Scholar Thera's voice came over the communications. She had been studying the Helion data. Her voice shook with fear. The Harvesters, she said. The real reason the Helions wanted to transcend. They were running from something. Now that something is here. Taman looked at the approaching swarm and realized the truth. They had not won the war. They had only finished the first battle. The real enemy had just arrived, but this time the galaxy would face them united. Humanity had shown them how to work together. Captain Park had shown them the meaning of sacrifice. Whatever came next, they would face it as one. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Luminacore. 6 months since Captain Hyunwoo Park had given his life to save the galaxy. 6 months since everyone learned about the Harvesters. The Galactic Council met on Earth for the first time in history. Not in orbit, not on a neutral station, on the planet itself, in a chamber built specifically for this purpose. The symbolism was clear. Earth was no longer a newcomer begging for acceptance. Earth was the foundation of the new order. Admiral Taman walked to the center of the chamber. He wore a new uniform now, Supreme Commander of the Allied Defense Force. Every species had voted for him, even the Korthan, though Sovereign Vreth had looked sick doing it. Hundreds of beings watched him. Some had tried to destroy humanity. Others had helped save it. Now they all needed each other to survive what was coming. The Harvesters are 4 months from the Galactic Rim, Taman said without introduction. Our scouts have confirmed what the Helion data suggested. They are a swarm intelligence. They consume entire galaxies, converting all matter into their biomechanical structures. They have already destroyed 3 galaxies that we know of. We will be the 4th unless we stop them. A representative from one of the smaller species raised a tentacle nervously. Can we stop them? The Helions ran from them. The Helions were more advanced than any of us. The Helions ran because they fought alone, Taman replied. We will fight together. And we have something they never had. We have humanity's ability to adapt. We have the Korthan industrial capacity. We have Vren biotechnology. We have the clan's warrior traditions. We have the Queln's knowledge. Separately, we would fail. Together, we have a chance. He pulled up a holographic display showing the defense plan. It was massive, complex, ambitious. Every species would contribute. Every world would help. There was no room for politics or pride anymore. Only survival mattered. Dr. Mireille led Project Phoenix, the galaxy-wide initiative to combine every species' technology into something new. In her laboratory, human scientists worked alongside Korthan engineers, Vren biologists, and Queln theorists. Ideas that would have taken decades to develop were completed in weeks. She stood before a prototype weapon and felt something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. This was what science was meant to be. Not creating better ways to kill, but solving impossible problems through cooperation. Dr. Choi, one of her Korthan colleagues, said, "The quantum resonance fields are stable." I believe this will actually work, Mirai smiled. The weapon they had designed used principles from a dozen different technologies. Human quantum manipulation, Korthan power generation, Vren biological targeting. It was something no single species could have built alone. It was the first true product of galactic cooperation. Begin production, she ordered. We need 10,000 of these before the harvesters arrive. Get every factory in the galaxy working on it. General Jiwan Lee, promoted after the Battle of Lumina Core, worked on a different problem. How do you train soldiers from 100 different species to fight as one unit? Different biologies, different psychologies, different combat doctrines. She solved it the human way, by focusing on what united them rather than what divided them. Every species understood courage. Every species understood sacrifice. Every species understood protecting those who could not protect themselves. The Galactic Marine Corps became the symbol of the new alliance. Human soldiers fought beside clan warriors. Vren shock troops coordinated with Korthan heavy infantry. They learned each other's languages, shared each other's traditions, became something more than their individual species. But not everyone embraced the new order. Sovereign Vreth faced trial for war crimes, for the false flag operation that started the war, for ordering the Starbreaker built, for centuries of oppressing weaker species. The trial was held on Earth in full view of the galaxy. Evidence was presented. Witnesses testified. Vreth's crimes were undeniable. The question was what punishment fit such crimes. Many called for execution. Vreth had caused billions of deaths. He had tried to exterminate humanity. He deserved the ultimate penalty. But Admiral Taman argued for mercy, not because Vreth deserved it, because the galaxy needed to see that the new order was different from the old one, that justice did not require revenge. If we kill him, we prove that might makes right, Taman told the tribunal. We prove that the strong can do whatever they want to the weak. That is the system that created this war. We need to show that system is dead. Life imprisonment. Let him live with what he did. Let him see the better galaxy he tried to prevent. The tribunal agreed. Vreth was sentenced to life imprisonment. He would spend his remaining years watching the species he tried to destroy lead the galaxy to peace. It was a punishment worse than death. Ambassador Deho became the new council speaker. The diplomat who had watched the war begin now worked to make sure such a war never happened again. He reformed the council structure. No more hierarchies based on age or technology. Every species had equal representation. Every voice mattered. It was messy. Democracy always was. Species argued. Factions formed. Progress was slow, but it was real progress. Honest disagreements resolved through debate instead of violence. Deho stood before the council one day and realized something. He had achieved his original dream, not the way he had imagined, not without terrible cost, but the galaxy was finally working together. A memorial was built on Earth for all who died in the war. Millions of names carved into black stone. Human names. Alien names. All equal in death. At the center was a statue of Captain Hyunwoo Park, holding the quantum disruptor. Admiral Taman visited the memorial often. He would stand before Hyunwoo's statue and remember his friend, the best reconnaissance officer humanity ever produced, the man who sacrificed everything for people he would never meet. "I hope we are worth it," Taman said quietly to the statue. "I hope what we are building justifies what you gave up." Then the harvesters arrived. They appeared at the galactic rim like a dark stain spreading across the stars. Scout ships engaged them first. Brief firefights that showed just how powerful the enemy was. The harvesters absorbed damage, adapted to weapons, and kept coming. They could not be reasoned with. Could not be negotiated with. They existed only to consume. The main harvester fleet began its advance into the galaxy. Thousands of massive bioships, each one kilometers long. They moved slowly but steadily, consuming everything in their path. Asteroids, planets, stars. Everything became fuel for their expansion. Admiral Taman watched the reports come in and felt old. He had thought the Helian battle was the final test. He had been wrong. This was the final test. Everything humanity had done, everything the Alliance had built would be judged by what happened next. He stood in the command center surrounded by representatives from every allied species. General Lee commanding the ground forces, Dr. Choi coordinating the weapon systems, Ambassador Shin managing logistics across 1,000 worlds, Commander Ravik leading the clan fleet, Scholar Thera providing intelligence analysis, even some Korthan officers working alongside the humans who had defeated them. "All ships report ready, sir," his tactical officer said. Taman looked at the holographic display, the largest fleet ever assembled. Not just human ships now, but vessels from hundreds of worlds, all of them carrying weapons designed through cooperation, all of them crewed by beings who had learned to trust each other. He thought about everything that had led to this moment. The war, the suffering, the sacrifice, Captain Park giving his life, Lieutenant Lee's Marines dying young from their enhancements, millions of beings across the galaxy whose names would never be remembered, but whose contributions made this moment possible. He opened a channel to the entire fleet. Every ship, every soldier, every being preparing to face the darkness. "I am not good with speeches," he said honestly. "I am a soldier. I deal in facts. So here are the facts. The harvesters are more powerful than anything we have faced. They have destroyed galaxies. They do not stop. They do not compromise. They exist only to consume." He paused, letting that sink in. "But they have never fought us. They have never faced a galaxy that works together. They have never encountered beings who will sacrifice everything to protect what they love. We are not just fighting for our own species anymore. We are fighting for all species, for the right of life to exist in this universe." Another pause. He could feel every being listening, waiting. Earth fell silent once, and the galaxy thought we were finished. We spoke again, and everything changed. Today we do not speak just for Earth, we speak for every world, every species, every being that refuses to surrender to the darkness. And our message is this: we are here. We are united. We will not break. He gave the order that would begin the greatest battle in galactic history. All ships. This is Supreme Command. Show them why the stars shake. Show them what we have become. All units engage. The combined fleet moved as one. Human ships with their quantum weapons, Korthan cruisers with their heavy armor, Vren carriers launching bioengineered fighters, clan destroyers screaming war songs, Queln support vessels providing shields and repairs. Hundreds of species, thousands of ships, all fighting for the same cause. The council chamber floated in the darkness of space, surrounded by stars that had witnessed 1,000 wars. Inside, Ambassador Deho Shin stood alone before hundreds of alien faces. Some had eyes, some had clusters of sensors, some glowed with energy instead of having faces at all. They all looked at him with the same expression. Contempt. Deho spoke slowly, choosing each word with care. His people had sent him here to prevent a disaster. Now he watched that disaster unfold in real time. You are making a terrible mistake, he said. Humanity has done nothing to deserve this judgment. The raid on the Corthan border station was not our doing. We have evidence. Please, just look at the data. The massive insectoid creature at the center of the chamber clicked its mandibles. Sovereign Vreth of the Corthan Dominion spoke with a voice like grinding metal. Your evidence is worthless, human. We found human weapons, human ships, human DNA. You attacked us and now you will pay the price, Deho wanted to scream. The DNA was planted. The ships were stolen. The weapons were black market copies. But none of these species cared about truth. They cared about power, about keeping humanity in its place. Humans were the newest species in the galaxy, young, primitive, easy to control. Until now, humans had obeyed every rule. They paid the heavy taxes. They accepted the restrictions on their colonies. They smiled and nodded when ancient species treated them like children. But Deho knew something these aliens did not. Humanity had limits to their patience. I ask you one final time, Deho said quietly. Do not do this. Do not declare us rogue. Do not send your fleets to Sol, because if you do, everything will change. A rippling laugh moved through the chamber. These beings thought he was threatening them. Pathetic little humans trying to seem dangerous. The vote began. Species after species approved the declaration. Humanity was now officially a rogue species. They had no protections, no rights. Their systems were open for conquest. 847 species voted yes. 3 voted no. The Queln, the Outer Clans, and one other minor species Deho had never heard of. It did not matter. The decision was made. Deho walked out of the chamber with his head high. He did not look back. He went to his ship and sent the message that would change everything. Code Omega, 2 words. The authorization for total war. Far away in orbit around Earth, Admiral Taman Kang received the message. He sat in his command chair and stared at the screen for a long moment. He had known this day might come. Humanity had prepared for it. But knowing and experiencing were different things, sir, his second officer asked. Your orders? Taman looked at the faces of his crew, young and old, men and women. People who had joined the fleet thinking they would explore the stars, make first contact with new species, expand humanity's knowledge. Now they would become something else. Something darker. Activate protocol silence, Taman said. All frequencies. All colonies. All ships. Complete communications blackout, then broadcast the final message. Across human space, the order spread in seconds. Every colony stopped transmitting. Every ship went dark. Every relay station shut down. To the rest of the galaxy, it looked like humanity had simply vanished. Billions of voices suddenly silent. The final message played on every frequency in every language the galaxy spoke. Taman had recorded it himself. His voice was calm, almost gentle. We sought peace. You have chosen war. May your gods forgive you, for we will not. Then silence. Complete and total. In the secret research facility buried deep in the ice of Europa, Dr. Mirai Choi watched the message broadcast. She felt sick. For 20 years she had worked on Project Prometheus. For 20 years she had told herself they would never need to use these weapons. That humanity would find a peaceful path among the stars, Doctor, her assistant said. The authorization codes are confirmed. We have green light for all systems. Mirai nodded slowly. Around her, technicians began activating systems that had never been turned on. Equipment that humanity had built from stolen alien technology, from crashed ships, from black market deals. The galaxy thought humans were primitive. They had no idea what humanity had been building in secret. Begin production, Mirai said. All weapons. All ships. Everything. Captain Hyunwoo Park drifted in the darkness between stars, his stealth ship completely invisible to sensors. From here he could see the enemy fleets gathering. Hundreds of ships from a dozen different species, all converging on human space. They expected easy victories. Weak resistance. Quick conquests. Hyunwoo smiled grimly. His ship used technology that should not exist. Quantum probability manipulation, the scientists called it. The ship existed in multiple states at once until someone tried to observe it. By then it would be somewhere else. The aliens did not know humans had this technology. They did not know humans had any advanced technology. That was about to change. He sent his data back to Earth through quantum encrypted channels. Fleet positions, ship classes, weapon types, everything Admiral Kang would need to plan the defense. Or the offense. Yunwu was not sure which it would be anymore. Across the galaxy, alien commanders celebrated. The Korthan Dominion prepared its vanguard fleet. 200 of their finest warships ready to crush the human homeworld. They expected to arrive at a defenseless planet. They expected desperate pleas for mercy. Sovereign Vreth himself gave the order to advance. Go, he told his commanders. Bring me the human homeworld. Kill anyone who resists. Enslave the rest. Show the galaxy what happens to species that dare challenge us. The fleet jumped toward Seoul. They would arrive in 3 days. In those 3 days, humanity transformed. Secret shipyards revealed themselves. Fleets that had been hiding in asteroid fields and dark moons powered up. Weapons that had never been tested were loaded and armed. Soldiers who had trained for years in secret put on their armor for real. Admiral Taman stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the fleet assemble. Thousands of ships, real warships, not the primitive vessels humanity showed to the galaxy. These ships had shields that could shrug off plasma fire. They had weapons that could punch through any known armor. They had engines that could outrun anything in space. All ships report ready, sir, his tactical officer said. Good, Taman said. Now we wait. Let them come deep into the system. Let them think they have won. Then we show them the truth. On the 3rd day, the Korthan fleet arrived. They emerged from their jump at the edge of the Sol system, their sensors sweeping for targets. They found nothing. No defenses, no fleet, no resistance at all. Earth floated before them, blue and beautiful and apparently helpless. The Korthan commander ordered the advance. His fleet moved forward past Neptune, past Uranus, driving deeper into the system. Still no resistance. The humans had given up. They knew they could not win. Then Admiral Taman gave his order. One word, decloak. Space itself seemed to tear open. Thousands of human warships appeared from nowhere, surrounding the Korthan fleet completely. Above them, below them, on all sides. Weapons locked. Targeting systems active. The Korthan commander stared at his screens in absolute disbelief. This was impossible. Humans did not have this technology. They could not have this many ships. This had to be a trick. Admiral Taman's voice came over every Korthan ship's communication system. Calm, cold, final. You came to our home expecting to find victims. You found us instead. There will be no mercy. There will be no surrender. You wanted war. Now you have it. A pause. Then 2 more words. Fire at will. The stars lit up with weapons fire, and the galaxy's understanding of humanity changed forever. Admiral Taman stood before the War Council in Earth's orbital command station. Around the table sat generals, admirals, scientists, and political leaders. All of them looked tired. The first victory had been celebrated for exactly 1 day before the intelligence about the Starbreaker arrived. We cannot win a war of attrition, Taman said bluntly. The galaxy has millions of ships, we have thousands, they have hundreds of industrial worlds, we have dozens. If we try to fight them head-on, eventually they will overwhelm us through sheer numbers. One of the generals leaned forward. Then what do you propose? We do what smaller forces have always done against larger ones, Taman said. We strike where they are weak. We fade before they can respond. We hit their supply lines, their infrastructure, their will to fight. We make this war so expensive that they give up before we run out of ships. He pulled up a star map. Red dots marked enemy positions. Blue dots marked human forces. The red outnumbered the blue by hundreds to 1. But Taman's plan did not rely on matching numbers. It relied on speed, surprise, and precision. Operation Ghost Protocol, he said. Our stealth fleet will hit targets across coalition space. Jump gate facilities, supply depots, industrial centers. Never the same type of target twice. Never in a predictable pattern. We make them afraid of their own shadows. The plan was approved. Within days, human ships began appearing deep in enemy territory, striking fast and vanishing before reinforcements could arrive. A weapons factory destroyed here. A supply convoy ambushed there. A jump gate sabotaged, stranding an entire fleet far from home. The aliens tried to adapt. They increased patrols. They set traps. They tried to predict where humans would strike next. Nothing worked. Human stealth technology was too good. By the time sensors detected them, they were already gone. Captain Hyunwoo Park led the most daring mission of all. The Starbreaker facility was located in the Korthan home system, surrounded by defense stations and patrol fleets. Getting in was supposed to be impossible. Hyunwoo did not care about supposed. He approached the system from an unexpected angle, using a nearby star's radiation to mask his ship's signature. He slipped past 3 patrol groups, each one passing within kilometers without detecting him. The facility appeared on his sensors, a massive station in orbit around a barren moon. Target acquired, he reported back to Earth. Beginning infiltration. He brought his ship alongside the station and used a magnetic seal to attach to the hull. Then he put on his suit and cut through the outer plating. The station's internal sensors never detected the breach. He was inside their most secure facility and they had no idea. For 6 hours, Hyunwoo moved through the station like a ghost. He avoided patrols. He hacked terminals to learn the layout. He planted quantum charges at critical support points. These were special devices designed by Dr. Choi. They would not explode immediately. Instead, they would create microscopic failures that would cascade over weeks, eventually causing catastrophic structural collapse. As he worked, he was discovered. A Korthan technician turned a corner and froze, staring at the human in disbelief. For a moment, neither moved. Then the technician reached for an alarm. Hyunwoo was faster. He crossed the distance in a second and disabled the alien before any sound could be made. But the struggle had taken precious seconds. Security systems activated. Blast doors began to close. He ran. The station erupted in chaos. Alarms screamed. Guards rushed to intercept. Hyunwoo dodged through corridors, using his knowledge of the layout to stay ahead of pursuit. He reached his entry point just as the Korthan closed in. He dove through the opening and sealed it behind him. Plasma fire burned through the hull where he had been seconds before. But by then his ship was already moving, cloaking, vanishing into space. The Korthan swept the area with every sensor they had. They found nothing. The human had escaped like smoke and wind. Back on Earth, Dr. Mireille Choi worked on a different kind of weapon: psychological warfare. She had captured recordings of Korthan and Vren soldiers discussing their plans to massacre human civilians. She edited these together with footage of human prisoners being treated well, being given medical care, being shown mercy. Broadcast this on every frequency, she told her team. Make sure every species in the coalition sees it. Show them that their leaders started this war with lies. Show them that we treat prisoners with dignity while they plan genocide. The broadcasts worked better than expected. Some species began questioning their involvement in the war. Why were they fighting humans who seemed more civilized than their own leaders? 3 minor species withdrew from the coalition entirely. Others sent secret messages to Earth, asking about terms for peace. Ambassador Daiho Shin, who had watched the war begin, now worked to end it through diplomacy. He met with representatives of neutral species in secret locations. He shared evidence of Korthan lies. He offered trade agreements and technology exchanges. Slowly, carefully, he built a network of allies. The most important contact came from scholar Thera of the Queln. She had voted against the war from the beginning. Now she offered Earth something priceless: intelligence. She had access to coalition communications, military plans, political discussions. She gave it all to Daiho. Why? Daiho asked during one of their secret meetings. Why betray your own people? Thera's expression was sad. Because the coalition is not my people. It is an empire built on oppression. For thousands of years, powerful species have enslaved weaker ones. Your species is not the first they tried to crush, but you are the first to fight back successfully. If humanity wins, maybe the galaxy can finally change. Through Thera's intelligence, Daiho learned about a world called Velros IV, a planet conquered by the Vren centuries ago. Its native population had been enslaved, forced to work in mines and factories. The Vren considered them property, not people. Daiho brought this information to Admiral Taman. If we liberate this world, we gain allies. We show the galaxy that we fight for freedom, not conquest. And strategically, it puts human forces deep in Vren territory. Taman studied the data. The world was defended, but not heavily. The Vren considered it unimportant. They had grown complacent. "Do it," he said. "Send Lieutenant Lee and her Marines. Show the Velrosi what liberation looks like." Jiwan stood before her enhanced Marines and explained the mission. They would not be destroying a facility this time. They would be freeing people. Actual liberation, not just military objectives. "The Velrosi have been slaves for 300 years, she told her soldiers. "They do not know freedom. They do not know hope. We are going to give them both. And we are going to make the Vren pay for every year of suffering they caused." The assault was brutal. The Vren guards had grown lazy from years of facing no resistance. Jiwan's Marines hit them like lightning. Enhanced strength shattered their defenses. Enhanced speed left them unable to respond. The battle for the main slave compound lasted 14 minutes. But winning the battle was the easy part. Jiwan walked through the compound after the fighting ended and saw what slavery really meant. Beings worked to exhaustion, children separated from parents, medical care denied even for serious injuries. The Vren had treated them worse than animals. One of the Velrosi, an old being who had known nothing but chains his entire life, approached her carefully. Are you here to help us, or are you the new masters?" Jiwan knelt down to his level. "We are not your masters. You are free. No chains, no owners. From today you decide your own future." The old Velrosi stared at her. Then he began to cry. Others joined him. Centuries of pain released in a moment. Jiwan stood and let them have their moment. She had seen a lot of violence in this war. This moment of freedom made some of it worthwhile. News of the liberation spread fast. The Velrosi were not a powerful species, but they were numerous. Millions of them lived across Vren space. When they learned that humans had freed one world, rebellions began on others. The Vren suddenly faced uprisings across their empire. More importantly, other oppressed species started to hope. If humans could free the Velrosi, maybe they could free others. Secret messages arrived at Earth from dozens of enslaved populations begging for liberation. Then came the outer clans. These were nomadic warriors who lived on generation ships, traveling between stars. They valued strength in battle above all else. They had watched humanity's war with great interest. Their leader, Commander Ravik, came to Earth personally. He was a massive being, covered in scars from a lifetime of fighting. He looked at Admiral Taman and smiled. "Your people fight well," Ravik said in broken human language. "You honor combat. You honor sacrifice. The clans recognize this. We offer alliance. Our fleets will fight beside yours." Taman was surprised. "Why? You barely know us." "Because the coalition is weak," Ravik replied. "They rely on numbers, on technology, not on warrior spirit. You are outnumbered, but you do not surrender. You face impossible odds, but you do not run. This is strength. We respect strength." The alliance was formed. 500 clan warships joined Earth's fleet. They were older ships with older weapons, but they were crewed by beings who had spent their entire lives preparing for war. They knew how to fight, and they were eager to prove themselves against the coalition.